Your healing isn't self care, it's strategy. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Brittney Poinsette, a woman whose work is reshaping how we understand healing, addiction, grief, and generational trauma in Black communities. Brittney isn't just talking about recovery, she's reframing it as a leadership strategy, a spiritual practice, and a generational gift. She's building bridges where systems have built walls. She's creating language where silence has been weaponized. And she's turning pain into power, not by bypassing the wound, but by walking straight through it with honesty, courage, and grace. Her insights challenge everything we've been taught about strength, survival, and what it means to truly heal. And what I learned from Brittney Poinsette during our conversation is something I believe will shift the way you see your own journey, your business, your parenting, and your peace. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. How many of you have been told that your pain is your fault, that your addiction is a moral failure, that your grief should be private, that asking for help makes you weak? How many of you have carried the weight of generational trauma on your back, believing that if you just work harder, hustle longer, pray louder, you'll finally be free? Here's what Brittney Poinsette helped me see. Addiction, grief, and what we call bad parenting are not individual failures. They are generational wounds. And the moment we stop treating them as personal shame and start treating them as inherited pain that we have the power to heal, everything changes. Everything. Let me tell you about a man named Brian Blackman. Brian is a Black man who went from homelessness and deep addiction to founding a global community called Crab Crew Life, centered on recovery, resilience, and mental awareness. When Brian was at his lowest, living on the streets, consumed by substance use, he didn't just lose his home. He lost his sense of worth. He lost hope. He lost the ability to see himself as anything other than broken. And like so many Black men navigating addiction, he faced a world that told him his struggle was a character flaw, not a medical condition. A world that criminalized his pain instead of treating it. A world that looked at him and saw failure instead of a human being fighting for his life. But here's what Brian did, and I need you to hear this. He grounded his recovery in one foundational belief: he was worth a better, peaceful, grateful life. He didn't wait until he felt worthy. He decided he was worthy, and then he built his life from that decision. He focused on small daily wins, gratitude, self love, noticing the little things: a sunrise, a conversation, a moment of clarity. He engaged in structured recovery, a therapy, community support, and step by step, brick by brick, he rebuilt his identity. Not the identity the streets gave him, not the identity addiction assigned him, but the identity he chose for himself. Today, Brian leads a global community. His story is not just about surviving addiction, it's about turning healing into leadership. And that's the first insight Brittney Poinsette shared with me. Your healing is a leadership strategy, not a luxury. Let that sit for a second. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, unprocessed addiction, grief, and trauma don't just show up at home. They show up in how you lead your teams, how you make decisions under pressure, how you respond to conflict, how you manage stress, how you show up for the people depending on you. Research on social contextual treatments for substance use among Black adults shows that when treatment centers family, community, and life context, people experience broader, long term improvements, not just in substance use, but in legal outcomes, family functioning, and psychiatric health. This isn't theory, this is evidence, this is real life. So, therapy, support groups, spiritual recovery practices, these are not signs of weakness. They are strategic moves that improve your emotional regulation, your decision making, and your business resilience. When you heal, you lead better. When you heal, you parent better. When you heal, you build better. When you heal, you create a legacy that doesn't just survive, it thrives. Now, let me introduce you to a woman named Brianna. Brianna is an African American woman living with bipolar 1 disorder. She survived 2 suicide attempts, 2 times. She stood at the edge of her own life and made the choice to stay. And instead of hiding her story, instead of pretending it didn't happen, instead of carrying that shame in silence like so many of us have been taught to do, she chose to share it publicly, to fight stigma and create space for other Black individuals to see mental health as treatable, not shameful. Brianna's journey involved navigating a mental health condition in a community where mental illness is often misunderstood, stigmatized, or dismissed. She faced suicidal crises twice and survived. And those moments became turning points. She had to reframe her identity. She had to reject the lie that her mental health condition made her broken. She had to embrace treatment, acknowledge her diagnosis, and choose to see herself as whole, worthy, and still capable of purpose, love, and contribution. She had to fight against every message that told her she was too much, too damaged, too far gone. Today, Brianna is an advocate. Her narrative is shared through a national mental health organization, and her message is simple but powerful. If she can make it, so can you. If she can survive, so can you. If she can heal, so can you. This is the second insight Brittney Poinsette shared with me. Spiritual meaning is a powerful recovery tool, but it must be practical. Many Black professionals lean on faith. We pray, we quote scripture, we believe God will make a way, and that's beautiful, that's necessary. But in recovery and grief work, spirituality has to translate into actions, not just words. Black recovery resources emphasize concrete behaviors, changing your physical environment, calling someone who knows the real you, naming the lie behind the temptation, choosing small healing actions like drinking water, taking a shower, praying, journaling, actions that reinforce spiritual healing in real time, building a spiritual system, short prayers, affirmations, scriptures, meditations that you can use in the middle of a craving, a panic attack, or a grief wave becomes a real time coping toolkit that protects both your sobriety and your business. It's not enough to say you have faith. You have to build faith into your daily practices. You have to make spirituality something you can touch, something you can do, something that holds you when the world feels like it's falling apart. Faith without action is just hope. And hope alone won't keep you sober. Hope alone won't heal the wound. Hope alone won't break the cycle. Now, let me tell you about the CEO of Onyx Therapy Group. She's a Black woman, an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, a military veteran, a mother, and an HBCU alum. She built a therapy practice intentionally centered on Black experiences in mental health treatment. And here's what she teaches: you have to choose the right therapist, you have to interview them, you have to select them based on fit, connection, and cultural understanding. Just like you would hire someone for your business, you wouldn't hire just anybody to run your company. So, why would you trust just anybody with your healing? She also emphasizes staying in therapy and maintaining relationships with therapists, even if the provider changes over time, to sustain long term healing. She's modeling something radical. A Black woman can build a business rooted in healing, not just profit, and still be successful. She's showing Black professionals and parents that therapy is not an emergency only solution. It's part of a holistic success framework. It's part of what it means to lead well, love well, and live well. And this brings me to the third insight. Brittney Poinsette shared generational overcoming and conscious parenting in 2026 are business decisions. When Black parents heal from addiction, grief, and mental health struggles, they don't just change their household, they shift the next generation's relationship to work, money, and self worth. Evidence shows that treatment models designed for Black adults that include family focus, like seeking safety in stage 12, yield more sustainable improvements in family functioning and psychiatric symptoms. This isn't just about feeling better. This is about building better. This is about legacy. So if you're building a business while parenting, doing the inner work, addressing substance use, mental health, and grief, directly impacts your children's emotional intelligence, their future relationship with addiction, and the kind of legacy your brand stands for. Let me say that again. Your healing is not just about you, it's about the children watching you, it's about the employees you lead, it's about the community you serve, it's about breaking cycles that have been running in your family for generations. It's about saying the pain stops here, the silence stops here, the shame stops here. Brian Blackman didn't just get sober, he built a community. Brianna didn't just survive, she became an advocate. The sixth CEO of Onyx Therapy Group didn't just heal, she built a business that heals others. This is what Brittney Poinsette is teaching us. Healing is not a side project, it's the main work. And when you do the main work, everything else, your business, your relationships, your peace, your purpose, everything else gets better. So here's my question for you. And I need you to be honest. If you stripped away the titles, entrepreneur, parent, leader, and just sat with your own truth, where is addiction, grief, or generational pain still running the show in your life or business? Because here's the reality: you can have the business plan, you can have the vision board, you can have the strategy, you can have the hustle, you can have the grind. But if you're still carrying unhealed trauma, if you're still numbing with work, food, shopping, scrolling, if you're still avoiding the grief, the anger, the fear, then you're not building on solid ground. You're building on sand. And when the storm comes, and it will come, everything you built will shake. Everything you worked for will crumble. Not because you weren't smart enough, not because you didn't work hard enough, but because the foundation wasn't healed. But when you heal, when you do the inner work, when you address the addiction, the grief, the generational wounds, you build on rock. You build something that lasts. You build something that your children can stand on. You build something that changes the trajectory of your entire lineage. You build something that doesn't just survive, it thrives, it grows, it multiplies, it blesses generations you will never meet. Brittney Poinsette reminded me that softness is not weakness, healing is not optional, and rest is not a reward for when the work is done. Rest is the work, healing is the work, choosing yourself is the work. So I'm not going to leave you with a gentle close. I'm going to leave you with a challenge. This week, I want you to do one thing that's uncomfortable but healing. Tell the truth about one struggle to someone you trust. Make one therapy consultation call. Remove one temptation from your daily environment. Delete the number, unfollow the account, throw out the bottle, cancel the subscription. Whatever it is that's keeping you stuck, let it go. Your next level of success, your next level of peace, your next level of freedom is sitting on the other side of that one honest move. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The moment is now. The time is now. Your healing is now. And the world is waiting for the version of you that's whole, healed, and free.